East Cooper Student News is brought to you by Low Country Roots Woodworking, making your custom woodworking vision into reality.
Hey Beckham and Wando, I'm Christian Sterling and welcome back to Rivalry Report. On today's show, we'll talk about Wando and Beckham football and how the playoffs have gone for both teams. We'll also take our first look at Wando's basketball team and hear from Coach Reynolds. It all starts right now. Welcome back to Rivalry Report. Let's start by heading over to Wando Signing Day to see our future Wando college athletes. 13 Wando athletes signed to play at the next level. The sports that these athletes play include golf, volleyball, baseball, basketball, soccer, and lacrosse, with soccer and lacrosse leading the way, having 3 signees each. Let's switch gears to football and take a closer look at the game of the season as Beckham and Wando fought to get the annual Sweetgrass Bowl. Here's Jaden Archer to give us the details.
Here comes the game we have all been waiting for. The Wando Warriors come to take on the Lucy Beckham Bengals in the last game of the season. Lucy Beckham just passed the 50-yard line up 3-0. Quarterback Finn Gunner rolling out right. The deep ball on the run, caught by his receiver inside the 5-yard line. Lucy Beckham with an explosive play. After the big play, Beckham setting up to score. The QB keeper up the middle, and Finn Gunner is into the end zone. The extra point is blocked by the Warriors, but the Bengals are still up 9-0. Bengals back inside the 5-yard line, this time to give to Jack LaMonica up the middle. LaMonica powers through into the end zone. The Bengals decide to go for 2 and convert, so the game is now 17-0. Lucy Beckham slowly closing in on the 50-yard line. Gunner takes a snap going left. Pitches to running back Jaden Gathers. Gathers running up the sideline. One man to beat. Swerving back and forth and makes his way into the end zone. Bengals extend their lead to 31-0. 1 and now around the 10-yard line. Harris Stone drops back looking to the right. He floats one over the top to wide receiver Gabe Holmes. Warriors into the end zone for the first time tonight. Game is now 31-7 Bengals. Defense makes a stop, so Wando is back out on offense. Harris Stone quick pass out to the right to wide receiver Dave Vennard. Vennard airs it out to running back Ryan John. Ball caught at the 10-yard line and ran into the end zone. Wando getting too little, a little too late, but the game is now 31-14. Wando defense was outstanding tonight, but the offense just couldn't keep up. It didn't help that the Beckham defense was living in the backfield with a handful of sacks to end the night. In the final seconds, Finn Gunner takes a knee to secure another Bengals Sweetgrass Bowl victory. Reporting for Rivalry Report, I'm Jaden Archer.
Thanks, Jaden. Staying on the topic of football, let's go to Walker Roberts to give us the latest playoff news in the region.
Thanks, Christian. Let's take a look over at Wando. Wando took a major beating against James Island, losing 48-0. But on the other hand, Lucy Beckham handled business with a home game against North Myrtle Beach, winning 38-21. Wando is eliminated, but they aren't alone. Cane Bay took a loss to River Bluff in the first round as well. Beckham moves on to round 2 to continue representing our town. However, in the second round, Beckham was defeated by White Knoll with a final score of 14-10. The game did come down to the fourth quarter, and Beckham had the lead, but White Knoll took the lead with a 16-yard McIver touchdown with just over 2 minutes left. Beckham fumbled the ball back to White Knoll. Unfortunately, this means Beckham has been eliminated from the playoffs. Good run, Bengals. Back to you, Christian.
Thanks, Walker. Now that the season is over, let's switch gears and take a look at Wando men's basketball with first-year head coach John Reynolds and a developing young roster.
Yeah, it's it's a new group. It's a young group. We were going to kind of be that way regardless, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited about our skill level. We got some guys that have shot-making ability. But as I kind of alluded to before, it's the development process that I'm most excited about.
Coach Reynolds looks to implement his culture by bringing victory back to Wando basketball.
I don't necessarily look at it as changing the culture. I think of it as just implementing my culture, right? There's a lot more ways than one to do it. Everyone has different things that they value in their program and the way that they want things done. But I think that's the biggest thing is imparting on our kids every day, to come in the gym, the excitement, to get in and attack the process of getting better every single day.
Coach Reynolds previously took the role after being the assistant coach of the Citadel for 3 years, from 2022 to 2025. He looks to bring a winning pedigree to Wando by playing fast and physical basketball. It's definitely going to be an exciting season to watch for Beckham basketball and Wando basketball. Speaking of, first before we get into basketball, I'm going to bring in ECSN sports analysts Jaden Archer, Wesley Youthon, and Walker Roberts to discuss. Hey guys, welcome to the show. And before we get into basketball, I think that we need to talk about Lucy Beckham's football playoff run this year.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I think it's well-deserved for the entire team. When you look at it, we've been giving props to Beckham, the defense, the offense, and how explosive they've been all year. With how the running backs performed, you know, Jack LaMonaco going for 1,000 yards, they haven't been a school for very long, but he's the first one to do it. So I think when you look at it in that kind of sense, I think they did deserve what was coming. Falling short to Whitenow is very unfortunate, but only losing by 4 points to the 11th ranked team in the country, I mean, in the state, that's still a pretty good fight for them. Even though we were worried a little bit about the defense holding up, still think they did pretty good. Wesley, what do you think about it?
You know, I think there's a lot to build off of, you know, within this program. You know, we saw from their defense, you know, a great pass rush. They were able to get after the quarterback. And Jake Grantham and those guys were able to, you know, force a lot of havoc. And they're still young, so, you know, next year they're going to be replacing a lot of those guys that have left. And they'll be, you know, a lot stronger. And then in the secondary, Ryder Ring is very good, and he continues to get better and better. Dewey Bull as well up front for them. So, you know, those pieces that they lost on defense won't really hurt them too much as seniors. And then on offense, you know, you're losing Nick Buggy, but it speaks to the program and their ability to produce D1 level college athletes, you know, him going to play at the FCS level now at Mercer. And so now looking ahead, replacing some guys on offense, they're losing receivers, Drake Ketchen, Nick Buggy, of course, at tight end, and then Finn Gunner and those running backs as well. They're going to have to rely on a lot of younger guys, but they'll be able to build great success because of what Coach Smith has built, and I feel very confident in them going into next season.
I definitely think you're right about that, Wesley. It was a great run, and they definitely have some good things looking for them. But let's move ahead and switch gears into basketball. And I want to start by talking about Wando with only one senior on the roster, coming off a 4-22 season. But it's definitely a developing year, and with the new head coach, Coach Reynolds, who I think is doing an amazing job kind of implementing his culture and everything. But I just think that having one senior, this is definitely kind of a, not like a rebuild year, but a developing year, and they've got a lot to work on, but it'll be a fun season to watch for sure.
I agree. I mean, like you said, 4-22 is very rough. They finished last in the region last year. Beckham coming off 10-12, still a losing record, but when you compare it to Wando, it looks a lot better. Fourth in the region still isn't great, but you know, when you look at everything with players and all that kind of stuff, I think Beckham does have the edge in that sense. Like you were saying, there's only one senior. Matthew Pay's coming from football. As we were talking about, Beckham has about 6 or 7 seniors on the team. Wando had 11 graduate last year. So my question to you guys is, you know, especially Walker, what do you think that will have an effect on, you know, with having a younger roster for Wando and a, you know, more experienced roster for Lucy Beckham?
Yeah, most definitely. I just want to thank you guys for being here.
Yeah.
But first of all, I see Matthew Pay's kind of initiating his leader status that he had in the football field. I see that really coming into the basketball court this year. Obviously, he's really well experienced in that field. I don't doubt that that'll carry over. But in that youngness aspect, you see these great teams in professional and college go through these development years to get to really great things. I mean, you can look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've been on development, and it's been going really great. Obviously, they won the championship last year. I see that happening for Wando right now because they're just so young. And I see going to tryouts, seeing the people in tryouts, I just see such great development coming.
Mm-hmm. Wesley, my question to you is, you know, Coach Reynolds is very new to Wando. You know, 1 year, he's coming off of 3 years from the Citadel. What do you think over at Beckham, since, you know, you guys have been the Beckham guys all year with Coach Pointer? I mean, he's only got 1 year. He was brought in May of 2024, but he's been the assistant coach over at Beckham for about 3 or 4 years. What do you think that's going to affect Beckham and how their basketball season is going to go?
I think, you know, Beckham has a lot to build on, I would say. You know, of course, losing Coach Glover a few years ago. Pointer was a strong assistant underneath them. And, you know, they've been able to really build something there. You know, they play a lot of tough competition, but it's going to be interesting to see how their senior leaders work this year. They should have good guard play, and they should have good front court play as well. But it's really going to be interesting to see how these teams match up. They both want to run in transition and be defensive-first teams. Beckham loves to try and get to the free throw line and convert there, while Wando kind of tries to work through transition and pull up jumpers and threes, as well as great ball movement and swinging the ball and a lot of, you know, sets on offense. So it'll be two kind of great physical basketball teams, but they have different offensive styles, so it'll be interesting to see how that rivalry plays out. But I feel like Beckham should have the upper hand just because of experience.
Yeah, I totally agree, Wesley. It's going to be great to watch these teams battle through the season. In a couple weeks, they play each other, and Wando's first game is this Friday against Battery Creek, so we'll see how, you know, our young roster starts out. And we're going to wrap this up, but thank you guys so much for coming in.
Absolutely.
It was great to have you. And thank you guys for watching. Signing off for Rivalry Report, I'm Christian Sterling.